Hi dear ones, this is Ouassima Issrae. I hope you are doing well. I'm coming today to share with you some of the shamanic books that you can read and that will help you to dive deeper into your practice, have prompts, be creative, and so on. These books, of course, do not replace a good training by teachers that you have met, encountered, practiced with, journeyed with, because the shamanic practice is not learned necessarily by books. From my own perspective, it is something you have to do with people who learned the way before. And then, of course, you will refine yours and you will comfort it with the practice. Two elements that I really enjoy in the shamanic practice is that first is the integrity, which means that you stay true to your own belief system, to your own practice, and the inspiration that you get by or from your allies. And the second one is the evolution, which means that the practice is always evolving, and this includes to be humble. We never reach a certain level, like these practices where you have belts or level 1, level 2. This is a forever learning ground. Always. I'm so passionate about it because it's always something new I learn about myself, about the world. And by staying humble and just being open to learn different paths and different ways, you gain insight and you reach this depth within you, and you start seeing it in your practice, and people feel it and sense it as well. So I want to also share this thought I had about the herb use in the shamanic practice. Some call it psychedelics. I'm not into this practice, and I don't necessarily encourage it, because from what I learned is that because shamanic practice is always evolving, sticking to one teacher in the form of a plant or a tree or an animal or whatever form it has sometimes is not constructive for us. We have to accept that maybe in our shamanic practice some allies will come and leave. Some will stay there forever. Some will come just for a specific reason or an experience or a task. And we don't have to attach to them in this sense, like we would attach to our parents when we are a kid. We have to let them go. And this applies as well to the use of some plants, some essential oil, or anything in our practice. Is this evolutionary system that I really get in the shamanic practice. And talking about that, one of the recent discoveries I had was that maybe, according to some research, maybe the first shaman was a woman. And this in itself is changing so much things within me, because I was taught by women, but I was also taught by men. Is the shamanic way the same for women and men? I'm really starting to doubt that. And it is making me think about how do I want to transmit the teachings I receive, the modality of getting that information. Really seeing and sensing that for some women it is easier to get the information. That is maybe in every woman hides an inner shaman. So without diving into the word shaman and where it comes from and so on, I suggest reading some of the books. I don't have all of them, but something I would really suggest is by Michael Harner, The Way of the Shaman. He wrote another book about the cosmos. It has the cosmos word in the title, forgot, but many basic books in shamanism that can help you get those information. But those I really appreciate. I'm sharing them today. We'll start with Shamanic Healing by Isaac Berry. This is one of his books. I have others, but I really enjoy it. This one is the practicality of the practices he has, how to apply them. But also, an element that I really loved is sharing experiences, because I used shamanic healing for my own health. Regarding the Lyme disease book, by the way, I just published my book. I didn't even do a video yet about it. Survivor's Practical Guide to Heal Naturally Lyme Disease. And I talk about shamanic practices I had as well to get back to health. But yeah, so there is a chapter about healing stories where the experience is really shared in detail, to go through diseases or to emotional struggles and so on. And I feel for the shamanic practice, we need, as well as being careful about the practice and all that is said about it, as well to accept what we call the miracles or the insights we receive. It has been practiced for millennia, so it has been a solid technology we rely on in our human experience that can be so much help. So why don't we construct and strengthen the belief that everything is possible and to open to the possibilities? Isn't it this the principle of shamanism, to open to the possibilities? Some of the lovely books that I enjoy as well, I have many books by Sandra Ingerman. I want to share this. I have another one here about the ceremony. So Sandra Ingerman has a very interesting path, and she's inspiring for me because she comes from a different area. Like we talk about psychotherapy, psychology. For many shamans, they come from those areas or others, and then they dive into shamanism, which bring richness in their way of seeing the world, in their vocabulary, in their communication style. And I find Sandra very interesting in her way of sharing the simplicity of the principles, but yet the profundity of them, the efficiency of them, because I tried them, and also she puts like the principles in such an accessible way for all traditions that I love getting back to her books for inspiration, and also for maybe reminding myself the simplicity of it. Nothing needs to be so complicated. Another book that I went through recently again with a book club. So we read 2 chapters every 2 weeks or so, and we were meeting to do journeys together. This is not the first time I do this. I did it also with some books by Hank Wasserman, which I don't have today, but he's really interesting as well. He was an interesting shamanic practitioner. He died a few years ago, but these are people I really value because they bring this anthropology aspect as well. The different topics, as I said, the different areas to this world of shamanism, and also by studying the history, by bridging between archaeology and shamanism and so on, it gives it so much solidity for the mind people that we are. And so we rely a lot on our mind and on proofs and so on. It's interesting to have that as well as basis. So this book also talks about different principles of shamanism. It gives exercises to do, which is very interesting, journeys to do. I really loved some of the chapters about dream work, about working in community, but also about what is shamanism. That was very interesting for me because Sandra shares this idea of different shamanic practitioners. And there are those who stick by the book, and there are, for example, those who are creative, who don't need to stay by the book. And I find myself a bit into that category. But yeah, these, I think she talks about 4 or 5 different categories, if I remember. So yeah, redefining shamanism, this was really a good point in this book. Another lady that I really enjoy reading, I think I have many books of her, just trying to find, at least I will share these 2, maybe 3, I have a third one. I'm sure I have more somewhere else. So Evelyn Riesdijk, if I pronounce it well, her name, she is a valuable lady for me because her way also of teaching, her way of sharing the knowledge and bridging between history, archaeology, and shamanism satisfies the mind, but also the soul. And she is so creative. She has this book about shamanic tools to help us if we don't have the time or the possibility to join workshops around the world to create our tools with our allies. She gives ideas, she shows pictures, and she draws. Her style of drawing is really interesting. In this book, she wrote other books. I'm sure I have other books by her somehow, somewhere. We'll see, but here we go. Let me see. No, not this one. But in many of her books, she shares how to do it. So she gives the lesson and then she offers the journey. And this book about shamanic creativity is not like just for beginners, I would say. It's for those who are already familiar with shamanic practice and they want to reconnect with their creativity, get back their imagination, repair. I love this aspect of repairing, you know. I love also embracing high consciousness. Is, in my own words, I would say higher in the vibration and reconnect to the joy of creative life, being creative in our daily life. And this gives a lot of freedom into that while giving the principles as if like to take the flight. Really enjoy her writing. The Norse Shaman is another one of her books, and she wrote also another about Tibetan shamanism, if I remember. If you have got some principles in shamanism, you might want to dive deeper into different traditions so that you discover what was done through the world, aeons before, or to find some connections, because sometimes we meet with some spirit allies and they ask us some things and they show us things, but we don't know really what they come from. And I had so many insights when reading about other traditions, like for example, the Siberian shamanism. And just my ally showed me things, and it's still, I read a book about it that I'm like, oh, this looks like what I've been asked, by my ally and so on. It gives really more confidence in the relationship you have with your allies, but also it shows you the universality of this work. All right, talking about that, I love this work by Linda Starwolf as well. She wrote many books, but I enjoyed this one, The Art of Awakening Shamanic Consciousness. I remember when I bought it, I wanted so much that I got 2 copies more of this one, and I ended up giving them. But this copy I wanted to keep for myself for future explorations. But yeah, this one talks about the shamanic practice like more applied in the real life, because she shares about experiences, and this is very important. I talked about the humility of being, the integrity, sharing the reality of things and not the ideal of things. The real life, how it is. So I really appreciate this way of kind of sharing, because when you get into some situations, you're like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. This is the first time I go through this situation. Many teachers don't talk about it. How am I gonna survive? So yeah, I found that very interesting. Some of other books that I'm gonna, of course, Hank Osama, I have just this book for now, The Re-Enchantment, but he has many other books that I'm sure I'm putting somewhere. He had this trilogy and now 4-ology books about a reconnection or connection with the future ancestor. Very interesting concept. But yeah, so he's a valuable teacher in the field. I was very honored as well to teach to learn from him. And yeah, what can I say? He's filled with information and filled with humor, and he embodies he embodies for me a modern shamanic practitioner. And in his programs and his teachings as well, he has this methodology that is very well known by academicians. The way to teach is step 1, step 2, step 3, which I really enjoy because I like structure as well in teachings that go through time and through length, through different areas. It's very important for me to be structured. So very enjoy him as a person, as a teacher, and very honored to have him. Tom Cohen. I have another book by Tom Cohen. Let me see where this one. Yeah. He forwarded it, but I really love the connection he makes with nature. It's as if the shamanic practice is very rooted into nature. We talk about animals, right? Totem animals, but plants, trees, the wind, the mountains, the rivers, the oceans, the sky, the Mother Earth, the stones. So many spirits are surrounding us, and they are inhabited by the divine. And so what I really enjoy in Tom Cohen's writings, and also introduction to the Irish way or the Celtic way, is he transports us with his words. He transports us with his text poetry. I find him very poetic in his way of writing. So you can, even if it's not really journeys, you can still find these inspirations and bring them into your daily life and into a specific journey you would want to do. This work forwarded by Tom Cohen, by Frank McCohen. I'm sorry about the pronunciation. I find it as well very interesting, even if I don't feel myself really necessarily attracted to the way of doing it in this way, but it's still nice to find the similarities and the the points where we can reach the same practice, the universality, as I name it. Okay. So you might know Kathleen Matthews. She is the author or co-author of the Arthurian Tarot. She published many books, and among the tarot cards, she has as well the Byzantine and many others. She's a very respected lady in the field as well. She's in the northern countries as well. So talk about the Greenlands or the UK and so on. So her practice is very solid, and she's still teaching shamanic practice there. And I don't know, I find her very rich as a person. And just recently she wrote some posts. You can follow her and subscribe to her blog, but she shared these thoughts about, are we really the goddess, and how that thought can influence us in bad way, in a sense. But anyways, she explains that further. But she has a capacity to transform these complex thoughts and to share them, plus the capacity of journeying and so on. I feel her mission as well is to consolidate the principles of shamanic work. Another practitioner that you can connect with is Stephen Farmer, and he wrote some books. He published an oracle deck, I think it's called Earth Oracle deck, if I remember. So this one, sacred ceremony as well. He has this way of cutting things and categorizing them, which I really enjoy, as I said. So, for example, this book, he talks about the different ceremonies that one can have: healing, transition, celebration ceremonies. So you have really specific ideas. You can pick, for example, the situation you are going through and try the ceremony as he suggested. And I really enjoy it. It's very clear for shamanic practice. All right. Now we'll share maybe a few more. So, Rewinding Yourself, this book is the second volume. There is the first and third volume that you can find as well. So, I went through briefly this book. I didn't finish it yet, by Paul Francis. I find it interesting, but I don't resonate with some of the aspects of his writing. I don't know if it's because of my way of doing, but it feels that maybe I need to get more mature within to grasp what he wants to say. But he talks about the real things, especially as you go further with the books. He talks about the intrusions, the possessions, topics that one, might have like this kind of, oh, should I really go through that? But it's important to talk about these experiences in shamanism. This is serious work, so it's important to know what really happens. It's not for fun. It's a real serious practice. James Andredi. I like this book as well. Didn't finish it yet, but I enjoy the different exercises, practices, and also kind of like it includes so many things at the same time. it's like shamanic practice, but it includes other things. You see lucid dreaming and so on. So I find it kind of strengthening the connection to be able to journey. I would say that for the least that I have explored, but I want, of course, to read it more. Now, Siberian Shamanism Practical Guide, the one I told you about, I got also different copies of this book. I got it from Kickstarter, and I enjoy this book. Short, practical, because the author shares like really the details of this practice. Remember I told you about things I met in journeys. Yes, very interesting to find, but it's very practical book where you can learn, see by yourself. But I wouldn't say it's a journey book, but it's more of an information book, even if you can find some personal insights from the author as well there. Bird medicine, of course, when you are doing this practice, you have different allies you connect with, and to strengthen that connection, one of my ways is to read about them, to connect. Reading is a way of connecting with them. It's as if like I enter into a trance, not only to get the information, but also to kind of be with them on longer term. A longer time. I enjoy this book because it's very, very well done, very, very solid as a book. It talks about the different directions, the birds, other birds as well that are present. I really enjoy it, and I feel like I want to keep it always by my side for reference purposes. Short books as well. You might like them if you are going on a trip, or you would want different insights. I love this one because as you read it, as you connect to the forest, the Sahara, and so on, you can journey with these aspects, the values they transmit. I really enjoy it because it's an educating book, and you can go with it deeper if you want to, I would say absorb the information even more. So yeah, I really enjoy this type of books. Shaman Pathways, Ellen Sentier. A short book that you can read in a day, I guess. Talks about the different words, the 4 elements, some drawings as well for those who enjoy as well, like some illustrations around. But I really enjoy it. It's a short book, Other books, of course, by Stephen Harold Berner. You might think these are not shamanic books, but actually they are, because plants and flowers are our allies as well. And Stephen Harold Bernard is a person that I value immensely, because when I discovered that I had the Lyme, I started looking online for some inspiration of how to deal with it, and I stumbled upon one of his books called Lyme Disease Healing, something like that, I forget, but he wrote books about health because he's an herbalist, an amazing herbalist, so knowledgeable. And also he teaches, or he used to teach, he died a few years ago, I think a year ago or so. And he used to teach plant medicine as a sacred being, how to connect to them, how to dive into their wisdom, how to hear their songs, and so on. So he has some books in this area that I find just amazing. So if the plants, I also wrote a small book about roses and flowers healing. I teach at the Temple of Roses. So of course this is kind of really my area. I love this. I really enjoy it, and I'm thankful for him, and I would love to be like him one day, being able to inspire people even after my death, That's a dream of mine, just to be of service even after I leave the planet. There are many other beings I thank as well, like Daisy and many other teachers that have transmitted this shamanic work, plant shamanic healing. All right, more books on this topic. This is the book that I'm exploring at the moment, called Shamanism, Archaic Techniques of Ecstasy. I left it for so many times, just like I jump into it and then I'm like, oh, it's too long. I jump again and I'm like, oh, it's too long. And I get distracted by other books. But the aspect of, this is an old book, it has been published in 70s, I think, 70, yeah. Originally published in French, which is in 51. I thought it was really published in 72, in the 70s, in English at least. But yeah, this book is a massive, massive one. But what's interesting about it is that it shares the different work that a shaman can have or has, and the different practices through the countries and the nations. I was looking, because I'm doing this research about North African practices, I didn't find that many information in it. So I went through, other books. But I really enjoy the history, archaeology, anthropology aspect of it. And before I finish, maybe I would say practical. I have so much more books. You cannot imagine that. I just don't know where I put them. For example, Mongolian Shamanism by Kevin Harner, if I remember well. Amazing book about Mongolian shamanism. Other books by, Shamanic. It's called Shamanism in Egyptian text as well. Very, very good. This one, Kamtam, it's not really shamanic book. I would call it more of an activist book that you might also want to explore if you are into the First Nations and how to regain our power. You will find many books out also in this area. The Power Path, the shaman's way to success in business and life. Really enjoy it because it's really practical. Go to the point, and also kind of rude in the sense of projecting the information. Not rude English way, but more kind of like, this is how it is. So I enjoy that aspect. And maybe one last. One last before I leave. José Louis Stevens, Encounters with Power, Adventures and Misadventures on the Shamanic Path of Healing as well, if you want to explore it. Okay, I will stop it now, trying to get this into 30 minutes. So thank you for being here. I hope you enjoyed all of these books. Please let me know which ones you have, which ones you would like to explore. And I might have like another book club starting soon, next week or so. But yeah, reading is what opens the mind. So enjoy it and have a great, great day. Bye-bye.